So you're just joining us. The reason we did this story, Geraldo, is because there's a new study out. If you know the 5-second rule, you're only
stay on there for less than 5 seconds.
Sure, I have 5 children.
All right, well, now there's a 30-minute rule. If it's a dry food, you can leave it down there for 30 minutes. So we put the bagel on the floor. And it went back 30 minutes
I've
later.
lived in apartments where if you left it down for 30 minutes, it would be carried away by little critters.
I heard there are more rats in the city than there are people.
There are, but that's another story.
So anyway, it's St. Patrick's Day. That is why Geraldo is
Aaron Gabra.
It is. Geraldo, let's start with...
You want to start with me taking the shot of that whiskey out there for breakfast?
You mean hypothetically?
That hypothetically.
I'm trying to smell it right here.
Is it illegal on TV?
No, it's fine. So the president and his budget director yesterday unveiled his budget plan. There are some big cuts to a lot of programs, and a number of liberals' hair is on fire because you can't do that, they say.
Well, you know, it is a harsh budget in terms of ideology and philosophy of what government's supposed to do. If government's prime role is to defend the nation, then that's what President Trump is going to do.
Sure.
$54 billion moving from other programs into defense.
Right.
Everybody wants a strong defense, and it's a great issue to campaign on until they recognize and realize that the program being cut to fund that $54 billion is the program they counted on. For instance, my wife's family is from Cleveland. The Cuyahoga River, the set fire.
The Great Lakes
cleanup. Lake Erie was a cesspool.
It caught fire.
$300 billion being cut from that program, and the lake has been, I wouldn't say it's pristine yet, but I mean, it really has recovered, and this is a federal program that has done a good job. I don't want to, just get obsessed about that, but it is upsetting to people like Rob Portman, the Republican senator,
sure.
And it is a swing state, so I think we really have to rethink.
But we have limited resources. We got to figure out what to spend money on wisely. Do you really think Washington, for the most part, spends money wisely?
Well, didn't your children watch Big Bird and Sesame Street and all that?
We watched The Electric Company. I felt it had a better message.
My kids growing up were watching the Fox News.
Do you really think
your kids are so great.
You're all saying you're going to kill Snuffleupagus and Big Bird. Really? No, that's not going to happen.
Get a sponsor.
But
here's
another example. Well, that is absolutely true, and I think that those kinds of programs can compete, and I don't worry about that.
Plenty of choices.
I don't worry about that nearly as much. But my first job out of law school was as a legal services attorney. And what I did was provide free legal counseling to poor people who were being evicted by predatory landlords, people who were being abused by loan sharks who were charging them 20, 40, 50, 100, 500% on their loans. To now gut that program. The United Nations. The United States has always paid a disproportionate share of the United Nations. And now to cut back so severely on the State Department in the United Nations.
What the president's doing, though, it's just like if you're a father, you have how many children, Geraldo?
5.
So what if you had to make a decision whether or not you're going to pay for their school and they're in music class and in art class, but you don't have the money to pay for those classes, so you got to cut them out just temporarily until you can get back on track. And I feel like that's what the president's doing because we're in debt.
The problem, Ainsley, is that I really do believe that when you examine some of the programs being cut, like Appalachian regional assistance in various areas, those are all people who voted for President Trump. 50 years old to 65 years old, mostly white folks. Now, they're going to get some severe cuts heading their way. Will they feel the same about the 45th president when they recognize that the check they personally get at the end of the month or the service that they have come to rely on no longer exists?
But it's not like they don't have a budget. I mean, my point, they're still getting a budget. They're just going to have to decide what's important.
Right, but I think the operative word in what you just said, which is absolutely correct, is they. Who is the they? Now, will it be Congress that makes the hard choices?
Sure.
The budget director he's absolutely unapologetic about what's going on. He says, listen, you can't have both. Unless you have a swelling deficit. It's already how many?
We don't have a
trillions?
rainy day fund.
There's no other way to fund it.
Right.
If you give to Peter, you got to take from Paul.
Yeah, you're in the news again this week through No no fault of your own, Rachel Maddow.
Oh, I was wondering what you... I know I overslept this morning, but I wasn't quite sure what happened.
You never know. You never know what you tweeted or what you took a picture of. Not at all.
She had her Geraldo moment when she was revealing Trump's big 2005 tax return.
Thank you so much for bringing it back up.
Which showed that he made a lot of money and he paid a lot of taxes.
Well, all I can say...
But here's the headline. She got great big ratings, but it looks like Donald Trump's personal lawyer is considering suing her and the investigative report.
First of all, I graciously cede to Rachel Maddow the Al Capone empty vault title. It is now her medallion to wear proudly as long as I did. When I opened Al Capone's vault, I knew everybody in the world was watching. It was the highest rated syndicated program, still is, in the history of television. The only thing inside was high ratings and job offers. So, you know, to Rachel Maddow, God bless.
But Geraldo, you brought out a great what differentiates you from her. She knew she had nothing in the vault, and she led us on anyway for, what, 30 minutes, to the point where even left-wing talk show hosts are mocking her today. Don't you think that is terrible?
I think that the sweet irony of the thing, Brian, is that she teased us. Everybody watched, her highest rating ever, and guess what? It was great news for President Trump. He made $150 million that year, 2005. He paid $38 million in taxes, about 25% more, twice Mitt Romney's rate, twice Barack and Michelle Obama's rate. I really do believe that you have to be careful what you wish for. In this case, it was almost as if Donald Trump planted his own tax returns because it came out so favorable. The one thing I will say, and I think the president should heed this, he could assist everybody in answering all of these questions by releasing some form of his income tax that people have been crying for. Maybe not the complex whole thing, with 16 million different items to it, but yeah, it's not an unreasonable demand, and others have heeded.
Geraldo, something else. When Geraldo came in, I asked him a question about we saw the Sean Spicer thing where he's going back and forth. I asked you whether or not you thought that Donald Trump, when he was running for president, was being surveilled, and you said yes.
Well, this is why I think there was some kind of surveillance, and I think that surveillance almost inevitably requires some kinds of wiretapping. But here, listen to what I'm going to say now, because it's a very careful distinction. I do not allege that there is a FISA warrant that they were going after either the Trump campaign or the Trump transition or people engaged in it. But I think it is entirely possible, indeed likely, that as they surveilled a Russian operative, be it the ambassador,
incidental collection,
and if Rusky Roo is talking to General Michael Flynn is being surveilled, even though the surveillance is not on Michael Flynn, it's on Rusky Roo. So I think that the incidental collection is almost inevitable, and I hasten to add, as far as I know, even in the incidental collection, there's been no evidence of any kind of collusion that would be considered either immoral, unpatriotic, or illegal.
So you're saying he has a point?
I'm saying the president has a point, but he is far too clumsy. With all due respect, and I love him, and you know I do, Steve. With all due respect, you can't get... what I just said took 3 minutes to explain. It wasn't 140 characters. I didn't tweet it out. When you start tweeting things impetuously without an explanation, this should have, like a tweet should have a reference to the 2 paragraphs to say what you really meant. Right. When you tweet out, President Obama is sick, bad, surveilling me, wiretapping me, whatever he said, I just think that that's the kind of thing that throws the administration off message. We don't concentrate on issues like a real good debate. It's a real good debate on the budget. Where do you stand ideologically, philosophically, politically? What's the impact here, the impact there? Those are good discussions to have. But when you focus on a spontaneous combustion, like a 5:30 a.m. tweet, and it takes the air out of the public forum
I hear you.
for 3 days or a week, or we're still talking about it over.
The Russia thing would be completely done now were it not for that.
I just wish that he would call me before he tweeted. I mean, look at me, but I tweeted the nude selfie, so
Right.
I'm not,
the
I'm
only
not
person-
exactly a
you're the only
paragon
person
of
he
virtue.
shouldn't call. Everybody else in this list,
Call Steve, don't call Geraldo.
You were not nude. You were out on a towel. What were you drinking?
This should be St. Patrick's Day. That's my sister Sharon's birthday is St. Patrick's Day.
Today?
Happy birthday, sister.
Happy birthday.
All right, that doesn't get you out of a present. It doesn't.
We're going down to see her and Grandma, 98 years old, in Sarasota.
Congratulations.
All right. First, I'm going to see you on the radio show.
I'll be there with bells on, or bagpipes
With your Notre Dame
wailing.
scarf on.
And is that what this is?
It looks like.
Actually, I'm Bear Down, Arizona, but today I can be Irish.
All right. Geraldo, thank you very much.
Thank you.